North County, we here. The living dead. Outside lands. Yeah. Two words, San Diego, we able to eat at the same table. Yesterday's fable is today's reality. Welcome to what I call the hip-hop academy of cool, calm calamity. Two words, hip-hop, no chain, wristwatch, no range, marijuana, cocaine, website domains, anonymous, no name, no face, just brain. Learn to play the fucking game. I'm saying two words, outside lenses, gente, gon' live for the moment. Step out with the homies. It's a takeover, SD makeover, no layover. We already here. Two words, gun control, don't patrol no more. I defend my own and everybody I know. Streets stay hot, try me not. Raising this game so everybody move. Two words, drug use, El Chapo, old news. But the drugs are still used, malabuse, you lose. It's an epidemic, methamphetamines, grandmamas open it. Whole world smoking things. Two words, North County, Oceanside, I'm alive. Hip hop till I die. Write rhymes every night. Cypher's gon' bring the light. Lightweight, Miller Lite. Yes, I'm down to fight. About to soar like a kite.
Yes, sir. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Keka Podcast brought to you by Keka Labs. My name is Victor V. I'm joined by my boy Osai Lens, here Bruce, and of course, the producer of the evening, Louis Lope, over there holding it down for us. But we do have a very, very awesome, super cool episode lined up for everybody today. This is, as you guys know, a little bit of a twist for us. We try to keep it interesting here at the podcast, so we're switching it up. We're doing a Zoom interview today, and we are joined by none other than Braden Surprenant from 97.3 The Fan. Braden, thank you for kicking it with us, man.
Oh, what's up, guys? Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir, man. What were your first thoughts when you jumped on this call here with us? Like, you're like, what am I doing here? What's going on?
Who are these fellas?
Yeah.
No, nothing too much, man. You know, just
There you go.
sounds like some San Diego dudes just talking about life, shit, sports, you know,
That's
whatever
right.
it is. So
That's right.
always willing to help out and jump on shows, especially for local San Diegans. I know you guys are from Oceanside, but same deal, San Diego County. So
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
anytime.
You see, I'm
100%.
glad you like the idea of that because other people like don't really consider North County as part of San Diego. I don't know what the whole thing about it is, but I do appreciate you saying that, though.
Yeah, that's a county thing for me, especially.
Right.
You know, I live down in Scripps Ranch. You know, I grew up in the Scripps Ranch, Poway area. I went to Cathedral up in Del Mar, so that's North County. But you know, I have relatives that live down in South Bay and East County. My parents are from East County, so anything in part of San Diego County to me is San Diego.
That's right.
There you go.
That's right. Yeah, same with me. Like, I do shows all over California, and when I'm outside of our county, I just say I'm a San Diego artist.
Yes, sir.
You know, Oceanside, we're all San Diego, man.
Right. No, I agree. We go to college and people say, "Where are you from?" Most people from San Diego County say San Diego, and then you can say like, "Oh, what part of San Diego?" And you can get more specific. Same thing with like anybody I met from like Orange County. They'd never say like what city in Southern California. They would just say Orange County because people outside of the state have no idea what the cities are at. And, you know,
Right.
everybody thinks you're so close to like LA and stuff. But
Right.
yeah, but San Diego to me is, you know, is the market is the county of San Diego, because everything we talk about is like that. And I don't, you know, I'm a big high school football guy, obviously, because I coach. So anything in the section of San Diego is pretty much San Diego to me.
Right. Big time, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, why don't you go ahead and give the people that are watching here a little background about yourself?
Born and raised San Diegan. I'm a fourth generation San Diegan too. So we're very rare out there. There's not a lot of us, you know, who've been here for multiple generations. So San Diego, pride and true. I grew up here, obviously. You know, went to school, elementary school in Poway, then went on to Cathedral. My mom went to uni, so that was pretty much where I was probably going to go. Most of my friends went to Cathedral coming out of elementary school too. From there, I went to, at Cathedral, I played football and, you know, baseball and dabbled in some volleyball. I was always into sports. From there, college, I went to TCU, Texas Christian University, was a Horned Frog there, worked for the football team when I was in school, which I thought was such a cool experience. Probably one of the best jobs I ever had, you know, in college, which was super cool. And they were good when I was there, which is awesome. And then got a job back here, you know, got my foot in the door, you know, at the radio station, kind of worked my way up to on-air stuff, which is what I wanted to do. So I studied in college. I was a sports broadcasting major at TCU. That was an option over there. Learned everything you could possibly do in sports media, on camera and off camera. So just got my foot in the door here in San Diego, my hometown. Very blessed to be able to work in my hometown and be able to live here again and be able to kind of, you know, grow my craft, grow my brand, you know, get my reps, and then we'll see where it takes me. Obviously, in the future, I'm always open to move anywhere else, but this will always be home to me, and I love it here. So, you know, we'll see what happens in the future. But as of right now, living the dream, coaching football, doing the talk show every day, co-hosting with John Quintera, and then doing play-by-play for the University of San Diego. So that's some of the things I do. I wear a lot of hats. I do a lot of things. I try to stay busy and yeah, it's kind of like the general synopsis of me at this point in my life.
Yeah, that's a very impressive resume, Braden. Wow, man, I don't even think any of us could compare it to anything like that.
Oh,
but,
hell no.
Yeah, but I do gotta ask. So how is it that you ended up getting into radio, or what was it that led you to that career?
This is kind of like the opening that was available to get me back home. You know, I probably could have stayed in the DFW market and done different media things. You know, they got a lot of sports teams, so it would have worked out. I was ready to come home, obviously, and I thought it'd be cool to be able to work here. And you know, at that time when I was getting out of school, Padres moved their flagship station from, you know, back then 1090 to now, you know, it was at the time it was 94.9, but it was with Entercom, the radio station, the company. So I was on the 94.9 days, which was really a interesting time for the Padres radio network, if you will, being on a alternative rock station. So we tried to we made it work as much as we could. There was a lot of moving parts, you know, but the goal was always to have our own sports station. So a lot of things, you know, kind of worked out. Some things didn't work out in the kind of the process of the development of the station, but you know, with that came a lot of opportunity. And you know, I was doing play-by-play for my high school and coaching over at Cathedral, and you know, doing the producing of the Padres games, and you know, that led to, you know, getting more on-air opportunities. They heard some of my stuff at Cathedral and gave me a chance. A couple things, you know, happened with some changes where I was pressed into action to do a lot of different things. They wanted to do high school football and knew I was a high school football guy, so that was kind of my first you know, real opportunity I had to take advantage of. Was calling the Granite Hills Helix game out at Granite. You know, that was kind of like my, you know, your Eminem one shot right there. So, so it was. I really don't get nervous anymore getting on air, but you know, that day I was a little nervous, but it was cool. I got to work with Coach and do the game, and I was doing something I'd done for a long time, doing play-by-play, something I really want to do. That's my ultimate goal is to do that. So, I was given a great opportunity, try to make the most of it, and they really loved it. And we continued to do that for a couple of years, and, I kind of got my foot in the door. And, I was the executive producer of the pregame show for the Padres. And again, another thing where, we made some changes at the station on the on-air lineup, and, some guys got pulled in different directions. And I was the one that built the pregame show, and so I knew everything about it. And they're like, well, "Why don't you host it?" So, for that one time, so I got to fill in, once or twice, and that led into filling in, a couple times a week, which led to splitting with Chris Ello, and he was doing the talk show and doing the pregame, so it was tough to do both. And and just another great opportunity for me to get on air reps and to be doing it in my hometown. It was really cool. It was a big blessing, and I couldn't ask for a better way to cut your teeth in the industry than doing Major League Baseball pre and post game shows. So I got to do that a little bit. That led to off season. We kind of needed something for me to do during the off season. So Coach's show had an opportunity for me to produce and kind of get some on air reps. I thought it was probably a perfect match with Coach and I. We're kind of built, and cut from the same cloth.
Mm-hmm.
Different ages, obviously, but I grew up listening to Coach, so it was kind of cool to get the opportunity to be on his show, be part of the legendary John Quintero shows. Produced a lot of major radio guys, like like the one that comes to mind, Jim Rome, was doing stuff with Coach a long time ago. So it was a good opportunity for me, and then COVID hit, so that was kind of weird. I'd never really produced a show before. I never really wanted to be a producer. I still don't really want to be a producer. I just kind of want to do the on-air stuff, but you got to work your way up. And producing shows, I really learned how to do talk show stuff is COVID. I mean, it was hard to do. We had to produce shows every day with no content in a time that was difficult for a lot of people. It was very difficult for me. And people I knew. I mean, I knew it was tough for a lot of different people in terms of the pandemic and staying inside, and just kind of throwing everyday life through a loop. So having to produce shows in between, working in a studio by myself, not seeing people for months on end, not seeing Coach in person, and trying to come up with content, and try to put like your own, I wouldn't say like depression, but kind of level of depression and sadness that everybody was feeling, and try to make people happy in a time that nobody was really, really happy. So, I think that was some of our best work, and that's kind of where you make your money in this industry. It's, it's easy to sit here now and talk about the Padres and how bad they are when they were in the playoff run last year. I mean, that's easy stuff. It's, you make your money in this industry when it's not easy, when you're doing shows like that. So, I just got a lot of reps doing that, and then doing that, USD, their athletic director, Bill McGillis, who, is a really good guy, and I enjoy working for him. He gave me a call, and he listens to the show. So, he asked if I was interested in doing play-by-play, and that's obviously that's actually what I want to do. And I told him, I was like, that's what I want to do. So, I'd love to do it. So he brought me in, we kind of talked, and he had a spot for me to kind of do play-by-play for USD. And that, again, same thing, turned into like filling in once or twice to doing it, a couple times a week, to, taking over some of the stuff that their main guy, Jack Cronin, doesn't do. So another good opportunity there. And, just trying to run with it, trying to get my reps, trying to, build my own brand and come up with my own reel. So, I can make that next step wherever that may be. But, that's kind of where I got to where I am right now. And, there's a lot of different times where I go, maybe I should have stayed in Texas, but it's fun to be here where my family's at, to be able to coach at my high school, such a blessing. And how everything has played out, it's really cool now I think about it. And it's tough to, it's funny. One of my teachers from TCU says this all the time. He's like, you want to be at the next level yesterday, but it takes time, and you have to. He's like, even though you're always pushing for more, at some point, in your life, you gotta sit back and enjoy some of it too, and see what you've accomplished. So, when I do kind of interviews like this, I kind of realize how blessed I am, even though I'm, maybe the money's not where I want to be, maybe I'm not living where I want to be, all that sort of stuff. It's part of the process, and I tell kids all the time, I've talked to TCU classes, I've talked to Cathedral kids, I've talked to a lot of different people that want to get in the industry. And, I tell them all the time, it's like some guys, everybody gets dealt a hand of cards, and some people's cards are really good. Some people's cards are really, really bad. Some people's cards are kind of in the middle. I have some good cards that work on my side, and, I don't have those ace in the holes of, having the right last name, or like knowing, having the dad that's done it before. So, it's kind of with that. So as much as, you get frustrated when you see people or kids your age or around your age or younger than you that had that nice step and were given that great opportunity, everybody's got their cards, and you got to make the most of it what you can. And eventually you got to perform. And so that's what I'm trying to work on now, is keep getting the reps on the show, trying to make a good show, working on my play-by-play on the side, and kind of enjoying everything I can right now, because eventually I'm gonna have to give up the coaching, which is gonna suck, but it's fun. I enjoy it. I enjoy giving back to the kids. It's really a good time, and I do it for free. They pay me, which is kind of cool, like most high schools do. But trying to do a little bit of everything, and try to keep my kind of dabble in everything. But that's a very long answer to your question of how I got into this. Doing all the different things I'm doing.
Right.
We love it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and that's what it's about, and I like that you said, it's about the process, because everybody wants to get to the destination, but there's beauty between that road, that there's a lot of turns, twists, the things that come at you sideways, but it's about being able to deal with those situations that actually help you get better. And if it wasn't for the road, then might as well just teleport there.
Yeah, and then like what you were talking about as well, like on radio, it's kind of about the reps. It's kind of about just being accessible, being there for the station, being that guy that they can lean on when nobody else is around, And I've noticed, I'm a big I love sports. I'm a big sports guy. It's just baseball hasn't been my thing. College football hasn't really been my thing, but like NBA, NFL, of course, those are easy to get into. And I do listen to a lot of those sports stations, and I've noticed that sometimes the producers are, what? We're gonna I'm the guy now today, I'm over here working, I'm over here doing the things because nobody else wants to do it. So I'm here, I'm putting in the work. And those guys are the ones that usually get promoted or get picked up from a different city, a different team.
Oh yeah.
And get on to being the main guys for there. So, shout out to your journey. I know for a fact, man, you keep going, you keep doing your thing. It's going to happen for you, bro.
Yeah. Especially you bringing up 2020 was pretty insane globally. I mean, we definitely felt it here at the podcast with transitioning from doing this podcast live in breweries to not being able to be at breweries anymore, then having to get an office, and then figuring out how the lease works and how to set up the equipment. It's the process, It's part of the journey. And honestly, if it wasn't because of that, we ourselves wouldn't be as grateful for what we do have right now.
Hey man, I was still working during COVID. I was one of the few that didn't get paid.
Yeah.
I was pissed.
It does happen. And that's such a big like asterisk, or not even asterisk, but it's just such a big like bookmark in everybody's life right now, is how'd you get through the pandemic? How'd you get through this time of like no sports at one point, no nothing going on, like everybody stay at home. When everybody's at home, there's nothing going on. And I know for a fact, like when you're talking sports and it's the off season, you have to try to create content when it's not really there. And for people that can do that's amazing.
Yeah, and actually that kind of leads me to my next question for you, Braden. Since you were talking about the play-by-play for the university and the high school, and also the station, what takes you longer to prep up and get your notes? Like is it the radio station or when you have to prep up for a live game that you have to do the play-by-plays for?
It's kind of the same. Like the rule of thumb is for every hour you're on the air, you should have an hour of prep, and then that's something that I kind of that I definitely do. The show is a little bit easier in a sense that You know, a lot of our stuff's built in, and we already know kind of like what we're going to do for a lot of different things. You know, like we do kind of the same, you know, thumbprint, if you will. Whereas, you know, the live play-by-play is, you know, you're researching, and it just kind of it depends on like, you know, what you're doing. So like at USD, you know, I do all the, you know, I'm going to have USD as one of the teams every single time for either, you know, for any of the sports. So whether it be women's basketball, volleyball, you know, soccer, men's and women's soccer, you know, and men's baseball and girls softball. Those are all the sports I do. You know, I know all of our players. You know, I know, you know, so like, you know, the prep for our teams in particular, that's kind of an off season thing leading into the season. And then, you know, by the time leading up to the game, I'll do a lot of prep work on the other teams, kind of get some storylines, you know, and it just depends on the sport too. Like basketball, you know, you're really just calling the action. You can kind of fit in a couple of things, but in reality, it's, you know, it's so fast paced, especially with radio type broadcasts. And I don't have a color analyst, so it's just kind of me. So, you know, there's only so much, you know, fill time you really have to do. Soccer, you can add a little bit more because there's a little bit more downtime of them passing back and forth. But again, it's mostly the action. And then for baseball, I have to do a little bit more prep work, you know, and get to know the players a lot more. So, and Brock, the head coach, has done an unbelievable job in being the new head coach at USD. But you know, in his second year, he's really, you know, he's one of the coaches that really gets like the media aspect of it, and he understands too that like I work for them. Like I'm not, you know, independent as much as I am technically an independent contractor. I'm a USD employee, so he knows like what he tells me is, you know, is confidential, and you know, I use it to make myself sound more intelligent on broadcasts. Like, you know, I'll know who's pitching and who's not, you know, for that day, or like guys that are down. So like, you know, in certain situations, I'll be like, oh, you know, this, you know, they'll probably warm up him, or, you know, what, like, you know, just different things that, or I'm not giving any secrets away, but at the same time, like, you know, I know what's going on, and, you know, I can kind of, you know, call it before it happens. And with that, you know, he gives me, great access to the team. I go to practices and games, and you know, I'm there early before games, and you know, talk to the kids and kind of develop relationships, kind of the old school way. You know, broadcasters are able to prep for games that you don't really see too much at the professional level. These teams like to keep the media away as much as possible. But you know, I know like most of the play-by-play guys in professional sports now, they're all employees of the team, so they have, you know, they understand, and a lot of the players understand that it's kind of the same relationship. So, you know, in terms of prep, you know, for play-by-play, probably takes a little bit longer just because it's just me doing it, and you know, you want to be able to tell the story, you want to be able to know what's going on, and you're learning a brand new team every single week. Where, you know, with the talk show, I mean, especially in San Diego, where it doesn't really matter what the market is, you know, you're kind of focused on the same team the whole time. Most people, like, you know, that listen to our station, they want to know what's going on with the Padres. You know, it's obviously a big baseball town now with the Chargers. You know, that they departed, so you know, we don't get as much, you know, Chargers content anymore, which is fine by me. You know, I'm still, you know, pissed off that they left. But you know, at the same time, like, you know, we'll do a little bit of San Diego State stuff, but that really doesn't move the needle as much. It's just such a unique sports town. So, you know, I try to go, you know, it's very Padres centric, and there's a lot of times where Coach and I don't really necessarily want to talk about the Padres. Like, you know, we're saying the same thing over and over again, but you know, that's what the audience wants. So you have to do what the audience wants to listen to. And right now it's very much Padres. So for us, I mean, it's kind of the same storylines. A lot of the prep work's kind of the same. So, you know, the play-by-play probably is where you can get a little bit more unique. You can tell stories. You could really dive in and do some serious research. And then, you know, you're not really time constrained with breaks and everything like that, like you are with the talk show. So, you know, I put a lot of time in the talk show. Coach does too. I've never seen anybody prepare. He probably over prepares, to be honest with you. I've never seen a guy prepare so much for a show. I mean, he's got everything. He'll have a full breakdown on every hockey game that happened the night before. We haven't talked about hockey in 2 years. You know, we'll never talk about hockey,
but he's just ready.
But he's ready to go. You know, that's the coach in him. And so, like for me, the coach in me too. You know, you want to be prepared, so you got to do a lot of extensive research. The internet definitely helps with that. You can kind of find stuff a lot quicker.
Oh yeah.
You have to, you can kind of, on the fly in between breaks, kind of add some stuff. But we prepare a lot for that show. There's a lot of stuff we don't even get in, but to long story short, yet again, the play-by-play is probably a lot more prepped than the everyday talk show.
So, speaking of college, NCAA tournament, how was that? Was that craziness that went down with the whole tourney, man? Like, were you expecting San Diego State in basketball to go as far as they did? Like, when did you realize, like, yo, they can actually do this?
I never really thought they could actually. I didn't think they were actually going to win the whole thing. I mean,
Yeah.
I thought for sure that they, I thought for sure if they didn't make the Elite Eight, I wouldn't really call it a failure, but it was borderline failure because their team was loaded. We all knew they were going to be really good. They'd never made it past the Sweet 16. I thought if they made it to the Sweet 16, it'd be kind of an average season for San Diego State. Not to knock the program because I think they're doing a great job, but that's just how much the program has excelled and the team that they had. So, I thought they could make the Elite Eight. And then when you make it that far, at that point, you're playing with house money. It's like, you win a game here or there, and all of a sudden you're in the Final Four. And, with March Madness and in college basketball, it's kind of like football too. I mean, with college, it's so difficult to win a national championship that, make it to a Final Four is like winning a national championship. If you win your regional, and you go to the Final Four, I mean, you're hanging a banner and anything after that's kind of house money. So, the fact that they just made the Final Four, I thought was amazing. And then, I didn't think they were going to pull that game out against FAU, and that was kind of a remarkable finish to that game too. And the fact that they got to play in the national championship was
that last shot.
Insane.
I think it's just legendary at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it was such a cool thing. It was a cool thing for the city. I know a lot of people that. They might not be from here. They might not even go to San Diego State. I mean, they got behind the team, which I think is cool. I got some friends that are like, they didn't go to San Diego State. They went to some other schools that were kind of Aztec rivals, and they were getting all disgruntled that people were rooting for. I'm like, dude, who cares? Like, it's the city. Like, I would support, my local teams.
Exactly.
And they make the arguments. Would you root for SMU? I'm like, no, but I'm not living in Dallas. I'm living in my hometown,
So why are you applying your shit to mine over here?
Right,
I'm having a great time.
So it was cool. So the fact that they lost kind of sucks, and TCU made the national championship of football and got blown out. I mean, to have two of my schools that I root for go to the national championship in two different sports in the same year was pretty remarkable, especially since I've never seen a championship in my lifetime for any of my teams. So, it was kind of cool to get to that point, but it'd be nice. It'd be nice if they were able to win, but that was a crazy tournament. San Diego State accomplished a lot. It's going to be hard to replicate that, but they're here to stay. They're here to be a contender every year. And, March Madness, like a lot of tournaments, is about getting hot at the right time. So if they can get hot at the right time, who knows if they can make it back to the Final Four. But what an impressive accomplishment for the Aztecs last year.
Yes, sir. Shout out to the Aztecs, man. One of the storylines I did notice when they started getting hot and started going, round after round, started going in, there was a big sentiment on where's Kawhi Leonard's support? Where is he? From the national standpoint, I didn't really see too much. But what about from you guys on the floor level? Did you guys hear from him, see him, talk to him, or did you guys was he out there supporting?
Good point, dude.
Oh, Kawhi? I don't know if he was there or not. I'm sure he was supporting. I mean, he works out at San Diego State all the time.
Yes, sir.
He donates a lot of money to the school. So I would imagine he's probably
automatically already like
probably already there.
I'm sending money, man. I don't have to say anything.
Right. Well, it's just kind of the guy Kawhi is. I mean, he's not like a spotlight guy. I mean, nobody heard him laugh until that awkward laugh he had in Toronto when he first went up to the Raptors, and
big time.
He was hurt like most of the year. I think it would have been, weird for him to go out there and be at the game while the Clippers were playing somewhere else. So from all those kind of perspectives, I'm not surprised that he wasn't able to be there. I'm sure he showed his support. It was cool to see a lot of the other Aztecs alum be able to show their support, and all of the alumni were not just the athletes, but even like the actors out there that went to San Diego State. So it was kind of cool to see all that, and you kind of have to do that as an alum. But he's the guy that works out at San Diego State, and he's there all the time, and he's a very simple simple guy. So, I'm not overly surprised. I mean, because it's a lot different. Like when he was at the Padre games, like in the playoffs. I mean, they're not playing yet, so he can go to those games and he's in town and stuff. But I'm sure he was trying to work it back. But it was cool to see San Diego State, really accomplish some new heights in college basketball.
Definitely, and I was one of those guys that was defending Kawhi. Like people were like, "Where's Kawhi? Where's Kawhi?" And I was like, "Man, he doesn't have to be
He
out
had to be
there.
a
He doesn't have to
cheerleader,
do
man. It
anything,
had to be like front and center.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, he's been supporting this.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes you don't want to be a distraction, right? Like
Mhm.
you don't want to make it about you. Like, TCU's biggest, guy, Gary Patterson, who left the school. It was a mutual parting of ways, and he was coaching at Texas, but
Mhm.
all of his guys were playing. Those were a lot of his guys he recruited, and he was at the national championship. But it was like, the whole time he was trying to stay away and not be a distraction. So like I could see Kawhi being like something like that, but he's just a simple. He's a simple guy. Like, not he's intelligent obviously, but he's just
100%.
likes the simple stuff. He's just a chill everyday dude like everybody else.
Yeah.
He's just incredibly large and plays basketball. That's the only difference.
That's what it is, man. And shout out to Kawhi Leonard, man.
Shout out.
He's doing it. He is the truth. And have you seen his hands in
They're
real life?
massive. Well, the other
Dude.
thing too, when I was in college, when he was still playing for the Spurs, back when I was in college, like Dallas, they had a rule like if you flew to Love Field,
Mhm.
so they have two airports in Dallas. They got DFW, which is like a huge airport, and then they have Love Field, which is like the old one, which is in downtown Dallas. Southwest is like the only airline that flies to Love, and to make it competitive with DFW, like in order to fly Southwest at the time, you had to land somewhere else before you could land in Texas. They didn't have direct flights anywhere. It was like some weird rule they had in to encourage people to go fly out of DFW or whatever. So
Right.
during that time, I was flying to to get to TCU, I had to fly to Vegas or Albuquerque or Austin, or I had to fly home. I had to go through San Antonio or Austin. So one time flying home, I went through San Antonio, and it was the same plane. So when you're flown, on those jets before where you got to stop somewhere, but you don't deplane because your plane's going. So they wait and they count everybody up, and it's like me and four other people. And then the first guy on the flight from San Antonio is a Southwest flight. It's Kawhi Leonard. He walks in. He already had that gigantic contract he signed, and he's taken Southwest.
Yeah.
Got the cheapest flight. All he did was pay for like the pre-board thing because he had to, because he can't fit in the seats, so he had to go sit in the exit row.
Yeah.
So he was the first one on the. They had him be the first one on the plane, and he sits in the exit row, which is like 2 rows in front of me. And it was like Kawhi Leonard's just flying back to San Diego, flying Southwest. It's just an average guy. Just like a guy like you and me. I don't know if he's as like that as much. I know he's got a house in Rancho Santa Fe now, but he's got to spend that money on something, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? Like, shout out to him. Shout out to everything that he's accomplished. And I'm sure the Clippers have something to say this next season coming up. I'm excited for it. Once my guy is healthy, he's unstoppable.
Oh yeah, dude. I think the Clippers they have the potential to reach it all the way to the finals, but it's just been the last couple of seasons where they're so close, but it's just the injuries kill them.
How'd you feel when he went to the Clippers?
I thought it was kind of cool. He was back in Southern California, but it'd be cool if the Clippers were still in San Diego.
You know what I'm saying?
The Clippers are still in San Diego. The Clippers are still in San Diego. And they had Kawhi Leonard, and then you had Tatis on the Padres, and then the Chargers are still here, and you had Justin Herbert. That'd be kind of a fun San Diego deal, especially if the Chargers were wearing their powder blues with the brown and gold of the Padres.
Bruh. You'd be even more busier than you are now.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be a lot easier. Like after the weekend the Padres had, you could just move on to the next thing. Oh well, what's Kawhi Leonard up to, or like time to get ready for Chargers camp, but can't do that. Can't have the distraction of the other teams.
Yeah.
Well, let's tap into that real quick, Braden, since we're still talking sports and we're talking San Diego, because we know San Diego is quote unquote a small market, but with the up and coming changes that we're seeing. Do you think that San Diego is ever going to get away from that, where they could be more than just a small market?
They're always going to be a small market because it's very unique. Market size is different. It's not like population. It's not, it's TV markets and radio markets are it's very complicated. I mean, I'm painting it a simple way for San Diego, but it is, it's more than just how many people are here. For markets, I mean, if you look at the San Diego market, you have an ocean to your west. So you have nothing out west aside from like the barren wasteland of the Pacific Ocean. You have a desert to the east where you have nothing but desert. You have a major city, the biggest city on the western United States in Los Angeles to the north of you, and you have an international border to the south of you. I mean, you're kind of like pinned in a corner where like you're never going to outgrow your deal. So like all these like big markets they talk about are, cities that have all these other cities around them, right? So like New York, obviously, they're the main focal point in an area that includes multiple states, even like Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Jersey. Denver's got nothing around except for a bunch of different states, and they're the biggest cities. So they got this big market because they're the big city in their area. DFW, again, I mean, Dallas-Fort Worth area is very big, but it can grow and it can expand, where they have all these other smaller cities that are around the DFW market. It's so big. So for San Diego, I mean, they're never really going to grow in market size. And the other thing that kind of hurts them, they need more, in terms of, major, sponsorships, major TV deals. You need major advertising, right? Especially with the TV deals, you need people to spend top dollar, which is just, you don't have too many of those companies in San Diego. Sure, you got Qualcomm and Petco, and I'm sure you can think of a couple more, but the grand scheme of things, it's not like a huge population of major, company headquarters. In those major company headquarters, those are the ones that pay for all the suites. Those are the ones that pay top dollar for ad revenue. Those are the ones on TV. Those are the ones that pay for radio revenue. So, I mean, you talk about the Bally Sports situation, and it doesn't really matter how good the Padres are. They were costing, Sinclair a ton of money because they couldn't sell the advertising. And, we run into the problem too. And it has nothing to do with the Padres or our product. It's, there's only so many people available or companies available to spend the amount of money you need to spend in order to run, your team to that level. Like in Los Angeles, they have that $1 billion TV contract. Because they have all these companies that can sponsor it, and the Dodgers are a big deal in terms of population and market size. Where in San Diego, you just don't get that. So I think it's growing. I think San Diego could support multiple teams. I think you've seen that with getting an MLS team. I think you see that with the women's league team that we have that do a really good job. San Diego Legion do a good job with attendance. Attendance numbers are up at a lot of different local colleges. I mean, you got 3 D1 colleges now in San Diego, and the goal. I mean, even the goals are top 10 in attendance in the AHL, and they were the worst team in the AHL last year. I mean, the worst, historically bad, which is unfortunate because their parent company, if you will, or the Anaheim Ducks run the whole thing. They're a really well-run organization, so it's kind of surprising. But people go to their games. I mean, they have top 5 attendance, top 6 attendance, I think it is in the AHL. So it's not to say San Diego doesn't support their teams. And I've heard a lot of arguments against it because I know like the whole Stan Kroenke thing, which I think is fascinating. Everybody goes like, well, they had 2 NBA teams, they failed before. Yeah, but like the last time the NBA here was 1983, which was 12 years before I was born anyway. But I would say right now, you can't tell me San Diego in 1983 is the exact same as San Diego in 2023. It's totally different town now. There's 100%. Way more transplants that we're going to watch their own teams. And there's so many people that if you build it, they will come. I mean, look at Petco Park. I mean, before the Padres were even good, they started to get more people to go to the games because the Padres, to their credit, made it the place to be. I mean, they made it a cool place. They kept putting money into their stadium. They kept coming up with different promotion ideas. They made Petco Park on the weekend, the cool spot in town to hang out, regardless if you like baseball or not. I mean, people love going to Padre games. They don't even watch the game. They're just there to have fun. They go to Beer Fest on Friday. They go to walk around the park. I mean, there's so many of my friends that like don't really care about baseball that love going to Padre games, and they kind of created that. So to me, I think you can create that. We're a big enough city in terms of population where you could be able to fill that. But the biggest thing, obviously, is got to be able to sell the suites. That's where all the money is now in sports. So if they can do that, they'll be in good shape. But I think Stan Kroenke's up to something. He's obviously not going to move any of his teams here.
Yeah.
But he knows a lot of rich people.
Yeah.
And he's very, very much an influencer in a lot of different leagues. He owns, I think a team in every major league, if you will. So with him involved, I think he's going to find a tenant. He's not going to build that thing to not have anybody be in there full time aside from concerts. It's not worth his investment.
Yeah, no, very, very exciting times here in San Diego, especially as you mentioned with the Midway district getting redeveloped. I don't know. I still think that there's a possibility of an NHL team. I mean, the Coyotes are trying to move around, so maybe we'll see them here in San Diego. Who knows? But NBA, I could see it happening, but it's gonna take a little bit more.
Yeah, I think for NBA, we might be like third or fourth on the list. I know there's a lot of hype right now around the Las Vegas market. Las Vegas.
I mean, they just swooped up on Oakland.
Yeah, I mean, Oakland messed that up. Oakland messed that up 100%, man. But I just we do a lot of business out there in Las Vegas, and just the hype that goes down there with the UFC, the NFL now. Right now, we got MLB coming in.
Well, potentially, it's still
potentially.
Not
right, and just everything that's going on over there, I think is gonna help San Diego out a lot, just because they have one street where they're putting all of this entertainment out there, and of course that's right now in the United States, that's the entertainment capital of the world, I want to say. But outside of that, I think if there's things going on in Las Vegas, we're a short drive away from there. That will help our market out a lot.
Well, I mean, and the Knights just won the NHL Stanley Cup,
right?
So.
And as well as women's basketball as well. They just won the championship. Now they just need the Raiders to win, but I'm pretty sure you don't want that to happen.
No, I don't care. I don't want.
Oh, that's right.
Now, once the NFL left, dude, my NFL love is like totally gone. I mean, I kind of root for the Cowboys now, but if they win, I'm not like super excited. If they lose,
Right.
I don't really care.
America's team.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I kind of did just because I was in Fort Worth, and
yes, sir.
That's right by Arlington, so. It's kind of cool to have like the root for the Cowboys. Plus, it pisses a lot of people off, which is kind of funny. Cowboys, but I root for the The other reason why I root for the Cowboys is they're the Chargers of the NFC. I mean, every year they're projected to be really good, and they never do it. They go about 500 and they disappoint. I mean, it's the perfect fit. It's perfect the fill in my life. But as much as I thought I'd miss them more, I really don't. I mean, after like about a year, it's just like I watch Red Zone, I watch all the different games, and that's it. I mean, I really don't need a team. And college football has kind of like been my new thing. It's so weird because it's like in San Diego, like college football is not a big deal. I know San Diego State's trying to make it a big deal, and the only way you make it a big deal is if by getting the word out, and again doing exactly what Petco did with the Padres. But you go from that environment, and then you go to college in the South. I mean, TCU is not nearly as big as some of these other schools, but football was like a huge deal down there. And working for the team, I mean, I went to every city in the Big 12 except for the two schools in Kansas. But, Morgantown, West Virginia was, a wild place on a college football Saturday. Austin, Texas was just like,
wow.
We were walking on the field in Austin. We played them on the Friday after Thanksgiving, on Black Friday, because they got rid of the Thanksgiving tradition. They played A&M, but they haven't played A&M in a long time. So us and Texas Tech kind of filled the void every other year. So it was our turn to play them on Thanksgiving. They bumped it to Black Friday or whatever. But I'm down on the field before the game, and because I had to shoot highlights that game, so I was on the field before, just kind of like taking it all in. You look up in that stadium, it looks like it goes on forever. I've been in Jerry's World. I've been in some big stadiums. You go to Texas, you go to what they call the name of that stadium, but where the Longhorns play, you look up and it's just like the stadium goes to the heavens. And so I'm like looking up at this like monstrosity of a stadium. I mean, the thing is just ridiculous. It holds over 100,000 people. And I look down, and on our sideline, stalking the sidelines in a blazer, a dress shirt, jeans, and cowboy boots is Matthew McConaughey. And he was just walking he was just like taking it all in, watching TCU warm up, like trying to evaluate whether or not the Longhorns were going to get him, or like he was going to scout him to tell Charlie Strong at the time, like what needed to be done. It was just it's just a different world down there. I mean, they had so many celebrities on the sideline. It was crazy. And then they'd show Matthew McConaughey on the big board. He had his little scotch and he'd toast. And he's like, hey,
nice.
He'd do that all the time. With that smirk on his face.
Yep.
But it's just a different world. And that was in the Big 12. And then, my brother goes to Tennessee now. So I went out for Tennessee, Alabama last year, which was just like the most bonkers game ever. Wow. Tennessee beat Alabama for the first time in like 20 years. So Knoxville like burned to the ground that night. It was just insane. But I as much as Oklahoma and Texas were like huge, I mean, there was nothing like an SEC game, and that entire environment was just it's just nothing. It's so hard to describe. I said on air a couple months ago, college football in the United States is the closest thing we will ever have to European soccer, with the traditions, the pageantry, the crazy fans, the passion that they have for their home. College town team is that's kind of the same deal. And so I went to the Tennessee game last year. I went to Georgia, Tennessee, and Athens, Georgia. I mean, it's the same thing. It's just people are tailgating all day. They've been going there as a family for generations. The same thing. They plan their whole Saturday around it, and it's such a cool environment. So it's tough that you don't get to see that as much in San Diego. But where I was going with that is I was exposed to that type of football right as the Chargers left, and so I went from NFL, like kind of zero college, because it was San Diego State and they're in the Mountain West, and I was growing up, they were losing to Cal Poly, and it was just like it wasn't like the good old days of the Don Coryell days or the Marshall Faulk days where lighting up a scoreboard. So like I went from that college football to when I was at TCU, they were like in the playoff hunt in 2014, and they're in the thick of things. So you got sucked in, and so now I went from like all NFL to and no college to like all college and like just fantasy football to the NFL. So I'd love to see San Diego get a team again. I will say that I'll never not hold out hope for the Chargers to come back or for us to get a team. And I'll support whoever comes if they come. It could be the Raiders, it could be the Chiefs, it could be any team that I used to hate as a Chargers fan. I don't really care if it says San Diego in front. I'll root for them. But they had a thing the other day. I guess it was a year ago now. Florio of Pro Football Talk had an article out about the NFL wanted to expand to 40 teams. They want the stadiums to be smaller. So there's a lot of things that are keeping the hope alive, I think, for San Diego. And you could be a curmudgeon to be negative about it and try to be all smart and shit all the time and be like, oh, that's never going to happen. Or you could think about it in a positive outlook. And I'm not even that big of a positive guy. I mean, I'm kind of negative most of the time. But like, to sit there and just, what are you going to get out of just saying it's never going to happen? To say you're right? Like, who cares? Like,
right.
I hope it happens. Like, I think they still have a chance to come back. I think there's a chance for the NFL, the NHL, and the NBA to be here. I mean, there's a lot of different hoops that you'd have to jump through. There's a lot of teams you'd have to, please. All those teams in LA are not going to want an NBA team, competing in what they call their market. And same thing with the NHL. I mean, the Anaheim Ducks are not going to like the fact that you want to move a team in their backyard that they claim as their territory, especially when they're AHL affiliates here. So a lot of different moving parts, but money changes all of that. And when you got a guy like Stan Kroenke that's got money and a lot of influence to change people's opinions monetarily, all of a sudden you're in the game. So we'll see what happens. I'm hoping it happens. I'd love to see this sports town. I'd love to see this town become more of a sports town in my lifetime, but you never know.
Yeah, and I definitely see that. Like, I think a lot of San Diegans are sports centric. They may be rooting for a team or not rooting for a team anymore or whatever, but I think if like you said, if they build it, they will come. And segueing through that, how do you feel about the new sports complex that they're building here in Oceanside? Have you heard about that?
What's the thing? The Sockers are going to play?
The San Diego Soccer is moving out here to the Oceanside, and I think it's going to be ready for spring 2024. So it's almost right around the corner, and that's the sad part, dude. I think us that were NFL fans, we weren't upset with the Chargers. I think everybody was just upset with the Spanos family and what they did. That was super dirty play.
I mean, we
they-
had bonfires.
and they had the option of coming to Oceanside in 07, and that could have been it, dude. But I
Yep.
mean, at least it's happening with the Soccers. We'll see what happens out here in the city, but I don't know. I'm with you, Lens. I think San Diego wants it, and as we said it before, dude, sports just brings something else to the community. It just brings people together, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what San Diego needs, honestly, and it needs a little bit of that extra good feeling
The
every
energy.
single day.
Yeah.
It distracts you from a lot of different things, and like you mentioned, the sense of community. So like you could disagree on like politics, you can disagree on a lot of different things, and you can't even get you couldn't walk through Oceanside or Vista or any part of San Diego and get two people to agree that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west.
Yeah.
I mean, so but they're all going to cheer for the same team from their town, so you kind of bring people together like that, and that's kind of the cool thing about sports.
Yes, sir.
That's why I love high school sports too. It's kind of like almost in its purest form. College used to be, I think, the sport at the highest. It's the sport in the highest level in its purest form. But high school sports to me is super cool because you could talk about, you kind of get that sense of communities within San Diego where you can, you could be super excited about the Pirates or the Wildcats up there in Oceanside. And talking about running the Avocado League or having a better football team than San Marcos or Torrey Pines or LCC, and then collectively, when North County team takes on a city school, then you could be like, we got better football up here. I mean, it's kind of fun to do that, and it's cool with the kids, and that's why I like being a part of the high school scene too. It's even like the mini competitions inside San Diego County where. We might all be Padres fans, but then we all have our own little like kind of section of the county that we root for too, and it's all sports centric.
Yeah, and that was one of my favorite things seeing at Petticoat Park was their the collage that they have of all the high schools.
Oh yeah, all the hats,
it's
cool,
super
like
cool.
helmets, I think.
Mm-hmm.
They got to
That
update
was
some
really
of those because they got like
Yeah.
on the little if you played around with like their little touchscreen, like you could click on the different helmets and it has all the schools, all even in the all girls schools too. That might not have baseball and their softball and other stuff, but if you click on it, they'll have like all like the famous or like most notable athletes or other alumni to come out of that school, which is kind of cool. So like you can go through and you can check out Oceanside. It'll have Junior Seau on there and list all the great football players they've had or like notable alumni that have come out of there. The cathedral one needs to be updated. I looked through it. They haven't updated that in a long time. There's a lot of things that need to be added to it, and some things that need to be changed. But it's kind of cool. Like you could see and you can kind of look through all the different schools. They say like all the baseball championships or softball championships they've won, in particular since it's a baseball facility. But that kind of I don't know. I try to tell people all the time like San Diego. It's not Texas level, but they care about their high school sports out here. I mean, everybody, that stays here, still is proud of their high school, and everybody has that connection to high school because everybody went to high school or like they know, obviously, their kids, are in high school right now, or like you might have a brother and sister in high school, or your niece or nephew or whatever like that. So
Generations into this shit,
Yeah, it's fun, and San Diego I think does a really good job. With that, you get it with the PPR. I wish we did a little bit more high school stuff at the station, but that's why I do the podcast. And it's fun. It's fun to talk high school sports, and the kids love it. I mean, they get to be treated like I wouldn't say pros, but they get that extra recognition. They get to see their highlights on TV, and I like that our town cares about that sort of thing. Not at the same level of Texas, but people underestimate how important high school sports are here in San Diego.
A lot of athletes. San Diego. Speaking of like high school and just coming up in that order. A lot of athletes that not just football or baseball or this and that, but like Olympic. Every facet. A lot of athletes coming out of San Diego, and shout out to them. And I just wanted to see if you wanted to give a little love to your brother and give him a little shout out. You didn't really say his name. If that's okay, you can give him.
Oh yeah, Matt.
Yeah,
my brother Matt. He's back home from college. I have two siblings. My sister Sydney's in between us, but Matt goes to Tennessee. He's a student there. He'll be wrapping up at the end of this year. Had a blast out there. My sister is a teacher in Nashville, so she's having a good time out there. She's actually with us right now at home visiting for a month, which is kind of cool. So the whole family's together at this point, but really close to my family and really tight. Family's very important to me. It's very important to coach too. So, again, going back to the cut from the same cloth, but I spent we do a lot of things together. It's just great. Share a lot of the same, kind of interests and love and stuff like that. So it's good to have them back home in San Diego and not both in Tennessee, but it's fun to go out there and visit. Nashville's a hell of a town. I tell you that. It's a cool place to be. And, Knoxville during the fall is pretty cool too. And it gives me an excuse to kind of travel and explore some new places. But, shout out to Sid and Matt and, yeah.
Yes, sir.
That's
yeah,
right.
we were probably like about this close from doing a live podcast out there in Nashville when the Raiders went to go play Tennessee. And
Are you a Raiders fan? Is that the deal?
Oh, we work for the Raiders.
Oh, do you really? That's nice.
Yeah, we do all of their tailgating events and stuff.
Oh,
so
that's cool.
that's why I was gearing a lot towards Vegas there. We decided to volunteer for like 2 straight seasons out there in Vegas, and just bring our equipment, DJ, do live podcasts, just be involved. And finally they're like, hey man, we really like what you guys are doing. Why don't we get you guys paid? Let's do a little something here where it's not much, but we're involved somehow. And it's been a great thing. So I got Pro Bowl tickets for you. That's the only thing I can give you.
Hell yeah.
Next Pro Bowl, man. I was like, this past Pro Bowl, man, we were dying to just give tickets out to Pro Bowl. That was the only tickets we can get. They're like, you guys can either get season tickets or get paid, and in a small faction. And I was like, you know what, we really need the money, man. So we took the money. We took the money. But yeah, man. So we got Pro Bowl tickets for you this upcoming Pro Bowl, man. That's the only thing we can do there. But it was a fantastic time. They gave us this past season. It was at Allegiant Stadium. I think the Pro Bowl next year is still up in the air. I'm not sure where it is, but Raiders said they got us. We're good to go.
Nice.
So
that's sick.
Whatever city they're in, we're going. And it's a fun time. I know why they're doing it like that, because the Pro Bowl is just everybody sends their teams. Their people.
Right.
That broadcast that are a part of like the whole entertainment aspect of it, because Pro Bowl really is like an entertainment fashion of football.
Oh yeah, you don't go there for the game. You go
there
to have a good time.
Definitely.
Yeah, you gotta do the Nashville show the next time
we need it.
The Raiders are out there.
Yeah, we were this close.
Nissan's right there off of Broadway.
Yeah,
you got to cross the river. There's a bridge that crosses over. It's pretty cool. I was thinking about going out there for Tennessee plays Virginia at Nissan Stadium in Nashville.
Wow,
which would be a hell of a game. But we got the with coaching high school football, it's very difficult to get out to college games on Saturdays. So we have the Honor Bowl we host every year, which is pretty cool event that they showcase here in San Diego. Cathedral hosts it. Oceanside hosted it a couple times.
Yes, sir.
But it's a really cool event that if you want to check out some of the best high school football teams in the country, taking on some of the best out of San Diego. Mm-hmm. It's a pretty cool thing to be a part of. They do a pretty special tribute to the military too. Nice. They do the, it's very moving. I mean, it's very emotional. Before every game, they have the families of some of our fallen soldiers go out there and they kind of do I forget what it's called, but they have like the guys, the rifle and the boots and the hat and the dog tags, and all the family members, kind of do that before the game. And so everybody sees it, and, they honor some of the local Southern California, service members that have given their lives for our country before the game. So that's every Labor Day weekend. We're fortunate enough at Cathedral to be able to host it. We love being a part of it. We've already told them, every year that you do this, we want to be a part of it. There's a lot of schools that do that, but So I got that weekend. Like I said, it's really cool. I'm just a plug to the honor group and the honor bowl. It's a cool thing. This year, San Diego's got Cathedral's playing in it, Helix is playing in it, Madison's in it, and University City is in it. And there's some pretty big teams coming in that weekend. So it's a fun little event. If you want to have a cheaper way to go out there and watch some football and not spend NFL prices, you can see some really good, talented high school players play, and you're donating to a good cause. As they help out a lot of veterans and a lot of families that have lost their loved ones serving for us overseas.
That's right. There you go.
Yeah, and don't forget, everybody, we are here kicking it with Braden Surprenant in tonight's episode. He's coming to us from San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Braden, we still got some time before we wrap up the interview, but I did want to get a couple of questions in. And this one's pertaining to your agenda, because I know you're a busy man. You got a lot of hats you got to wear. But how's a typical day go about for you?
Well, it kind of depends on the year. Right now, I mean, this is the beginning of my busiest time of the year. So, June is where it starts to ramp up. Right now we're doing off season or summer workouts. So we're not doing pads yet at Cathedral, but 6 a.m. every day at Cathedral, getting the kids in shape, ready to go. And then, we'll be, varsity starts. I help out with varsity and JV. I'm the special teams coordinator on varsity now, and then I do the defensive coordinator on JV. So I'm kind of like going back and forth in the mornings, but we're about 6 a.m. for varsity, 6:30 for JV, to about 8:30, 9 o'clock every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Wednesdays. The kids have off. So like as of right now, like I'll go to Cathedral early in the morning. We'll work out with the kids, get them in shape, ready to go. We'll do some football stuff. I'll try to finish the planning of my show while doing that on my phone to make sure coach is all ready to go. From there, I'll drive straight to work, get to work probably at 9:15, 9:20 in the summertime. We'll do the show 10 to about 2, and then Tuesday, Thursdays we got passing league. So I'll be driving somewhere in the county to go coach the kids up as we take somebody on 7-on-7. So tomorrow we'll be playing at Mount Carmel, and then Thursday we're playing at Mater Dei, and then Saturday we got the Ramona tournament. So it's a lot of football stuff, and then in between that, we'll do different Padre stuff. I'll go to different Padre games for work. I'll go to different Padre games, as a fan. And then, I play softball on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and then I play in another league on Sundays. So I try to keep myself as busy as possible, or I'm not a lard laying on the couch too much. And then right around when August rolls around, that's when it really gets going. Or I got football moves the afternoons, obviously with school. So, work in the morning. Work ends at 2, practice at like 2:33. So I go from Serra Mesa up to Del Mar, Carmel Valley area for practice. And then after that, if I got a USD game, then I drive from Cathedral down to USD, do the USD game, mix in the softball games when I can. We got the games on Friday for high school football. That's an all-day event. And then, Saturday in the morning, we got film. We go to, so I'll be doing film with the team, getting my prep in for the next week. Get my scouting in, getting all my film breakdown for our opponent for the next week. And then, that's mixed in with prepping for the show and prepping for play-by-play and, doing the games on the weekends. So, never not working to an extent, always on the clock at some point in time. And you're always, and especially in sports, like you're always in sports radio, you're still kind of, you got to pay attention to everything that's going on. And you're kind of coming up with different ideas to figure out the show. So it's a lot of balance of, personal time and work time and, making sure you're getting your rest while also making sure you're doing a good job and always getting better. So it's a lot of different work. It's a lot of different things. It's not just showing up, talking and going home. There's a lot that goes into it. We take a lot of pride in what we do, you know, at Cathedral and on the John Quintero show. So, and anything that's got my name on it, you know, it's going to be badass, and it better be badass. That's how.
That's
That's
right.
how I feel.
Yeah, sounds like you're getting advice from Troy Polamalu over there. Yeah.
That's right, man. Well, we want to definitely thank you so much for taking the time out and hanging out with us. This is the Kicker Podcast. Everybody out there listening on all social media platforms and
All
streaming
audio platforms.
Yes. If you guys made it this far through the episode, man, thank you guys so much. Braden, man, for sure, man, you're gonna have to come out to one of our events. And we're gonna roll the red carpet out for you, bro. We got
That
you.
sounds good. Well, I'm gonna be in. I gotta check the Raiders schedule, but I'll be in Cathedral's playing in Vegas in September, so I'll check it out. If you guys are out there at the same time, might have to check it out. That's gonna be a fun weekend. It's
100%, man.
We got a lot of road trips this year. We're playing in San Francisco, we're playing in Las Vegas, and we're playing in LA. So
nice.
A lot of travel mixed in with that schedule I just told you.
Yeah, definitely, man. I understand the travel part, man. We just got booked in Tokyo the end of August, so never been excited.
Sick,
don't know what the hell is gonna happen over there, but we're gonna have a great time.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to Tokyo. But first, we gotta raise up those funds because the air travel is not.
I gotta find my birth certificate.
We're scrambling, man. We're scrambling, trying to figure things out, man.
Make sure you got your passports and all that stuff.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, Braden, and this is gonna be probably my last question.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be a little bit more lax, more on what it is that you like to do. Because here at the podcast, we definitely enjoy doing three things, and that is, well, the first one I can't really say.
I was gonna say, you're really gonna say this stuff?
I'm not gonna say it right now. But we do enjoy watching movies. We enjoy watching wrestling.
Yeah.
And of course, we really, really enjoy eating food. So. Well, we can't say that in the air, bro. I'm sorry.
Did you catch that? Did you catch that? He didn't catch it.
Okay, I heard rambling in the background, but I couldn't make it out.
Okay, good.
All right, that's good. That's good. At least we said it technically. Yeah.
But my combined question is, so what is your favorite movie or one of your favorite movies? And secondly, what is one of your favorite things to eat out here in San Diego County?
I got a couple of movies that, like, you know, for me, like, favorite movie is like something like, if it's on TV, I'm stopping what I'm doing. I'm watching the movie like every single time. And for me, like, I got two of those now. It used to just be one, but then, you know, I've added another one since, you know, but I think the two that come to mind, I really love the Back to the Future movies.
Hell yeah.
I think the original one's the best. The second one's pretty good. The third one's okay.
Right.
But like any of those are on, I'll probably watch. So I kind of rope those all in together as kind of like one, you know, kind of movie series. The other one is the Oceans movies, Oceans 11, 11, 12. I think they got 13 too, right? They got those three. And same thing in that order. I like them in that order. You know, so those are probably the two movies. Every once in a while I'll get, you know, a couple that are probably my favorites that I'll watch, but those are two of my all-time favorite movies. You know, I like a bunch of different ones too. I'm more of a movie guy than a TV show guy.
I feel the same.
Yeah, I can watch. You know, I can put a movie on, and I like watching classic movies. And you know, part of being a sports broadcaster at TCU, you have to do film, television, and digital media is kind of like your major first, and then you have to apply to sports broadcasting. So, kind of got into the film kind of aspect too. But I much rather watch the movies and TV shows. Yeah, I've just never been the guy who can like binge watch 1,000 TV shows like a lot of people do. I'd rather.
Who has the time?
Right, exactly. So those are probably the two movies. You know, food wise, I'm a big foodie guy too. So you know, San Diego is obviously Mexican food. You can't get any better. You can't get better Mexican food outside of San Diego.
Right.
I've tried multiple times. It's a failure. But like taco shop style, you know, I think that's probably the best. And you know, I try not to pick one place because, you know, people always get in arguments. So, you know, Roberto's is the best. No, you know, this place is the best. You know, you can name a bunch of different spots. I think there's a lot of great places here in San Diego, and I think it just depends what part of the area you're at. Yeah. You know, I'm sure there's a great place in Oceanside that I've never been to, and it's probably just as good as the place I like in my part of the county, which is probably just as good as some places down in Chula Vista. I mean, there's there's some hidden gems out there
Mhm.
all over San Diego County. You just got to find them. There's a lot of bad ones too. Like you got to watch out.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
there
yeah,
is.
There's some gems out there that are really good. So Mexican food's probably my biggest weakness. I'm more of a salty guy than a sweet guy.
Mhm.
I like Italian food since I'm Sicilian. It's funny, we just had my grandmother turned 90, so we did like this Italian feast yesterday. We hosted it over
Hey,
here. So
that's
we all made a different kind of dish. So I made some stuffed shells. So homemade Italian food for me is
Nice.
good. Restaurant wise, there's not a lot of restaurants in San Diego that match the homemade stuff that my family makes, but there's a couple. My cousin's got a restaurant called Ravino down in Little Italy. It's
right.
pretty good.
That's right.
And then we really like Buona Forchetta or Forchetta, I think is how you say it in Italian.
Yeah, there's one in
there's-
San
there-
Marcos, I believe.
They're all over the place.
Yeah.
So it's like, I never like really saying like a chain's really good, but they're legit. I mean, they got some pretty good stuff. So those kind of offhand for me. I'm not a huge In and Out guy. I mean, I think it's all right. I'm not into the hype. Because it's funny, like when some of my friends went away to college, the first thing they get when they came back was In and Out. But I'd always get a burrito. I'd much rather have a burrito because I can get a burger. I can get a fast food burger like in any part of the country, but
That's
like
facts.
I can't get a good burrito out anywhere outside of Southern California. And I know it doesn't get much better outside of San Diego either, because I had a buddy who pitched at UC Irvine, big taco shop guy. He'd go down to JV's down in the Marina area over by where he lived. And the San Diego kids on Irvine's baseball team could not find a single taco shop in Orange County that was worth a shit. They could not find anyone. They tried so hard and they couldn't find it. They had to wait till they played down here. So I know San Diego's got the best Mexican food.
Yeah.
So for me, that's my go-to. Burrito wise, probably, I can be cliche and get a carne or a California burrito, but I really like to me, if you got a carne asada burrito with guac, sour cream, and cheese, I'm gonna have to sometimes make it like that. That's probably my go-to.
Yes, sir.
I really like adobada too. That shit's good.
Ooh.
Some adobada tacos, and then sometimes a bean and cheese hits. Like a bean and
that's right.
cheese, it's
right,
pretty good. Like you can, and that, to me, like when I judge a Mexican food place, is if it's my first time going there. Sometimes you got to go with the bean and cheese because sometimes the carne is not up to par.
Yeah.
So you got to start with the bean and cheese. You got to start low and then work your way up. If they suck at the bean and cheese, the place sucks.
Yeah.
You can't. Good Mexican food places don't know how to. They don't screw up
100%.
bean and cheese burritos. You can't screw up a bean and cheese.
You can't.
If you screw up a bean and cheese, dude, like
Yeah.
you're not worth me trying your carne. That's just
That's
just how it is for me. So a good bean and cheese. Sometimes. Friday night after a football game, it's like midnight, it's late. Sometimes it calls for bean and cheese. So, but I dabble in a lot of different Mexican cuisine. Flautas, great.
Hey.
Roll tacos, always got to hit. Sometimes I get the shredded beef taco.
Yep.
I haven't had a better shredded beef taco than oh no, I'm blanking on the place. It's down in Barrio. What's it called? It's down in Barrio Logan. No, it's cash only. It's been there. Cuatro's Milpas. That's the best shredded beef taco I've ever had.
We were
That
just
place
out
is
there
money.
yesterday, all day yesterday.
That place is legit. You get the shredded beef taco and you get the beans and rice. You stick the tamale and the beans and rice. That's how it's cash only. That's the place. The line wraps around the street. So there's a lot of great gems out there in San Diego. I try to sample all the different types of Mexican food, but I could probably eat that. If it didn't kill me, I could probably eat that every day.
Yeah. And it's crazy the amount of carbs that is served out here in San Diego when everybody's athletic and stuff, it's going down. But man,
energy, protein.
That's right. You gotta go hike Torrey. You gotta play some golf out there. You gotta go exercise. You need some carbs for that.
Yeah. So real quick, carne asada burrito with eggs.
An asada
with eggs.
With eggs.
Like steak and eggs?
Try it out. It's just a protein burrito, straight protein
burrito. It's not bad. I do mix in some breakfast burritos every once in a while, but the protein burrito, that sounds like it's very filling.
It is very filling. Just eat half of it, man. Just eat half of it. Depending where you go, because some burritos are smaller, some burritos are just humongous, dude.
There's a place by my house that's like that. Oh, sorry for interrupting. Like There's a place that you see, like they advertise on Instagram, or they used to, s6e41.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's almost like a $20 burrito, but the thing was bigger than my forearm. I mean,
Yeah.
it takes me like 2 days to eat the damn
Yeah,
thing.
man, that's the truth. And I do save the burritos for the next morning. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna cut that in half.
It's true. Just eat a little bit every single different day. Then you'll get rid of it.
It is so much.
Yeah.
It is so much. Well, producer Louis, are there any comments? We're not on Instagram today, so there's not very many comments that are gonna be on the live there. Usually that's where our things come in, but we do have some comments there. So why don't you go ahead and read them out?
Okay, so most of these comments out here on the YouTube that they come provided by Louis Lope himself. So, this is gonna be fun. So
This is a good segment right here.
Have you ever taken a risk on something that pissed off the producer? I think that's
Or coaches.
From the producer.
No, I don't know. I am the producer. And so,
there you go.
There's not too many things that have pissed myself off. I did one time for coaching. It was we're playing. Was it my first year? I think it was my first year. We're playing Saints, which is our big rival, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're playing Saints. We're down at half. We're playing at home, and I'm a special teams coordinator on JV, and I I called for a like a one of our pooch kicks that's kind of like an onside kick, because I knew we could get it, but I didn't tell the head coach that we were going to do it. So we're lining up to kick, and the head coach goes, who actually went to school with my mom. He went to uni with my mom. So like, I've known him for a long time. So he comes up to me. He's like, "What'd you call?" I said, "Just get the offense ready." And he looks at me and he was like, "What did you call?" And I said, "Get the offense ready." And he's like, did you call an onside kick? I was like, "Just get the offense ready." So the kid pooches the ball over towards the Saints sidelines, probably around like the 35, 30-yard line. And it takes, it's the best pooch kick I've ever seen. It's still to this day. And it takes a hop, and it kind of bounces towards the sideline. And so Saints starts yelling, "Get away," because they think the ball is going to roll out of bounds. But it doesn't roll out of bounds. It kicks back.
Wow.
And one of the freshmen we pulled up for the game, because we needed some guys in that game, he's like the fastest kid. I put him on kickoff because he was like the fastest kid in our group. And I said, "Just get the ball." Because the kid was like, I don't know what's going on. Like, he didn't know he was like, "I don't know the plays." I'm like, "Just go run and get the ball." So so the ball kicks back. The Saints player doesn't even go for it. His coaches are yelling, "Get away." So he steps away. It takes a perfect hop back, and the freshman jumps on the ball. We get a 1st and 10 at the 20-yard line.
Wow.
Starts the second half.
That's right.
That's sick.
So they were pissed. The head coach was pissed because I didn't tell him ahead of time. And I'll be in my first year as a special teams coordinator on varsity. I will not be doing that to Coach Doyle. I will not. I will not be doing that. But yeah, right. But if it doesn't pay off, that's a terrible look. So in terms of something I've done that has pissed off the coaches, I think that would probably be
that's right,
the only thing. But I really don't try to. I do like taking risk in terms of like, calling plays and stuff like that. But I try not to do anything that's like way too crazy that's gonna affect, either the show or the bottom line at the end of the day. So haven't really done too many risky things that ended up resulting in pissing anybody off.
There you go.
Yeah, well, hopefully jumping on the podcast wasn't too risky or pissing some of your people off.
I think we're okay. I think
we're good. We're good today. We're on our best behavior today.
That's right. I saw the warning before the start of the show. So I was like,
this is like one of our most well-behaved episodes, I can say, Doug.
Yes.
Yes, sir, man.
Good work.
But once again, Braden, man, thank you so much for being a part of this.
You're dope as hell.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And make sure you keep in contact with us. We are gonna send you some goodies. We're gonna send you a goodie bag of some merch and stuff, and we're just gonna keep you circulating out here in North County, making sure people know where you're at, know where they can follow you, know where they can listen to you daily, man. So we'll definitely be tapping in with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks again for the time. We'll be out live back at Alesmith a couple of times this summer. So July 15th, set your calendar. We'll be out at Alesmith, Coach and I, and then I think August 6th, we'll be back out at Alesmith. We got some other live remotes planned too. I know it's a tough drive from Oceanside, but over at the Miramar area, they're both on Fridays, so kick your weekend off early. I think they're going to do a Padres watch party, for those 2 days as well. So those are a couple of times we'll be out in the community. I'm sure we'll add some more, but it's always great to see you guys out in the community and be able to meet you guys face to face. And it's good to get my face out there because people don't know what I look like; they just know what I sound like.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we're definitely gonna be there because we have a birthday bash for myself, a concert that we're doing in Barrio Logan. So we're gonna be there on the 5th. So that works out.
Oh, nice. Yeah, sounds good.
We'll
So
be
I
there.
I got that live show on the 15th, and then I got Morgan Wallen's concert I'm going to that night, and then I signed up for OTL the next morning. So I'll be
Oh wow.
I'll be running on fumes that weekend. But
Yeah.
You just like to stay busy, don't you, Braden?
That's right. Well, I say yes to a lot of different things because it's fun, but
Yes,
I haven't
sir.
played OTL in a long time. That's another thing that we didn't really dive into. That's a fun deal over at Fiesta Island.
That's right. That's right, man. Well, one more time, let everybody know where they can follow you.
You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at B_SURP. I'm on the John Quintero Show each and every day from 10 to 2, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on 97 through the fan. I also do USD play-by-play, so all of their women's sports and a couple of their men's sports. I broadcast on the West Coast Conference Network, and then, of course, my involvement with high school athletics. I'll be starting up my high school football podcast probably again near the end of July, and you can get all of those on 97throughthefansd.com. That's where all of our shows are posted. You can also listen to all of our podcasts and all of our radio shows on the Odyssey app or wherever you find your podcast, just like your guys' show. So everywhere you guys probably at, we're probably at as well. So you can dabble in a bunch of different stuff with that.
That's right, man.
Yeah, well, Braden, thanks again for the time, and we wish you the best. And we're looking forward to seeing you out here in the San Diego County once again, man. And well, I don't really got anything else to say. Bruce, you got something else you want to say?
Though I got any last messages, stay hydrated and wear your sunscreens and get your best hats out there, and don't forget your shades because this summer is gonna be a blast out here in San Diego. And for y'all that tuned in, it was a very special episode. Yo, thank you again, Braden. We really do appreciate you. And for y'all, catch us around next time. Yo, thank you for sipping up with us. Thank you for toking up with us. Thank you for kicking it.
Thanks, Braden.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
It.